Если немцы хотят иметь истребительную войну, они ее получат.
In the frozen heart of Europe, winter 1942. A city stood alone against the end of the world, Stalingrad. Every street became a grave, every building a fortress of fire and despair. Flames devoured the homes of the living, while snow entombed the fallen. Hunger tore through the strong, death whispered in every corner. And yet, the city refused to kneel. It would not break. This is Stalingrad, the story of defiance, of courage, of humanity itself standing on the edge of extinction. Winter 1942. The world is ablaze, and on the Eastern Front, the fire burns brightest. Across the frozen steppe, an army of steel awakens. Engines roar like beasts from the underworld. Columns of panzers stretch to the horizon, their treads grinding the earth beneath them. Above, Stukas scream through the gray sky, their sirens wailing like the voice of death itself. This is the German advance, cold, precise, unstoppable. A force forged in lightning war, now turning its gaze to the Volga.
Hitler wants fuel, the black blood of war. And to reach the oil fields of the Caucasus, there is one river he must cross, the Volga. He believes the Soviets are exhausted, broken from months of retreat. Before him lies a city, Stalingrad, a name carved into the heart of a nation, a symbol of pride, and now of defiance. Inside its walls, the rhythm of industry beats. On factories roar day and night, forging rifles, shells, and dreams of survival. Men and women labor side by side, their hands blistered, their faces streaked with soot. Every hammer strike echoes a vow, not one step back. Soldiers dig trenches along the frozen banks of the Volga, their uniforms threadbare, their resolve unbreakable. Barricades rise from rubble and broken carts. Windows are turned into firing slits. Whole streets transformed into fortresses of will. Then, on the horizon, the first shells streak through the sky. Fire blossoms in the distance. The ground shakes, and from the flames, the battle for Stalingrad begins. The Tiger tanks move forward, massive and merciless. Their cannons tear through steel and stone alike. The ground trembles beneath every shot. In the distance, black smoke rises, swallowing the winter sun. But Stalingrad will not yield. Within its walls, men dig in. Soldiers, workers, farmers, ordinary people turned defenders of an empire. They watch as the iron storm descends. The siege has begun. The world will witness the death of armies and the birth of legends. When the Germans crossed into Stalingrad, they believed they were entering a broken city. Instead, they entered a battlefield designed to destroy them. At the head of the German advance stood General Friedrich Paulus, commander of the 6th Army, a man known for flawless planning, discipline, and precision. No improvisation, no chaos. A mind built for symmetry, maps, and order. But fate has different plans.
On the Soviet side, the city's defense fell under General Vasily Chuikov, just 39 years old, aggressive, unpredictable, and terrifyingly willing to bleed for every meter. His strength? He fought from inside the chaos, not against it. And now, the two men were about to wage war in the same burning maze. The sky tore open. Hundreds of Luftwaffe bombers roared overhead, the signature of General Wolfram von Richthofen, a commander whose brutality in air warfare was unmatched on the Eastern Front. His strength? Crushing cities through fire and shock. Paulus watched the inferno and believed the path was clear. And from that chaos, the Soviets struck. Snipers fired from broken stairwells. Machine guns rattled from cellars. Small Soviet units slipped between ruins like shadows, hitting, fading, reappearing somewhere else. German reports from that day shared one chilling theme. The enemy is everywhere. Every corner has a rifle. Richthofen's firestorm had not cleared Stalingrad. It had weaponized it. Paulus, the master of clean operational lines, was now trapped in Chuikov's world, a world of dust, fire, and point-blank killing. The Germans had not taken Stalingrad. They had awakened it.
Der Wind ist voll des widerlich süßen, unauszähligen Verwesungsgeruchs und sein Atem stinkt aus verbrannten Sau von her. Eiserne Saat allüberall, versenkte Erde, verwundetes Leben. Und dieses alles erneuert sich Stunde um Stunde.
Not one step back. The order from Stalin was clear. So the Soviets didn't defend districts, they defended rooms. A bedroom became a bunker. A kitchen became a sniper nest. A stairwell became a front line. Every window, every hole in a wall, every broken pipe had the potential to kill. German squads fought to capture a single building and then lost it again hours later. There was no silence. Amid this chaos, a legend rose from the ruins. Vasily Zaitsev, a shepherd from the Urals who turned Stalingrad into his hunting ground. He crawled between carcasses of trams, hid inside dead horses, and waited hours for a single shot. To the Germans, he became a ghost. To the Soviets, he became hope. When Berlin sent their elite sniper, the duel between the two men turned into one of the most intense shadow hunts of the war. One shot at a time, Zaitsev proved that in Stalingrad, the rifle was a scalpel, and the streets were his operating table. Across the Volga, under artillery fire and freezing winds, Soviet reinforcements kept crossing in small wooden boats. Men who knew they might die in an hour, men who didn't hesitate. Every night, the river carried them across like a conveyor belt of sacrifice. They never stopped coming. Paulus' men weren't advancing, they were dissolving. Tank crews suffocated inside smoke-filled corridors of rubble where their armor meant nothing. Infantry units reported fighting ghost battalions of Soviet soldiers who never retreated, even when outnumbered 10-1. The Germans were still superior on paper, but the city was draining their strength drop by drop. The grinder was nearly full. And beyond the horizon, the Red Army was preparing something that would change the war forever. The storm had begun, but the thunder was still coming. Then came a single building against an entire army. Yakov Pavlov and a small assault group were ordered to check the building. They didn't check it, they took it. In total, 24 defenders formed the core of the garrison, and gradually the house transformed not an apartment block, but a fortress. Every morning the Germans launched attacks, infantry waves, flamethrowers, tanks crawling forward like iron predators. And every time German troops got close, the Soviets fought like cornered wolves. It didn't matter. The house held. And soon, building that ruined shell of bricks and shadows became the beating heart of Soviet resistance. Now the real turning point of the war was about to begin. Inside the shrinking German front lines, the 6th Army faced its greatest enemy yet, minus 30 degrees Celsius, and falling. Paulus watched his divisions rot in front of him. Every morning, medics carried out more men who had frozen to death in their dugouts. Hitler demanded, "Hold Stalingrad at all costs."
Strongest attacks on all fronts. Some defeated, others still underway. Outcomes still uncertain. Efforts are being made to clear individual armored breakthroughs. Promised air supply has so far failed to materialize and is unlikely to materialize due to weather conditions. Sufficient air supply is not considered possible even if the weather improves. Ammunition and fuel situation will therefore render the force defenseless in a very short time. Still consider a breakthrough to the southwest, east of the Don, to the involvement of the 11th and 14th Army Corps across the Don possible at present, albeit at the cost of material.
Across the city, the Red Army endured the same cold, but they were prepared. Zhukov ordered small groups of Soviet soldiers wrapped in white camouflage crawled across the snow like ghosts and slit throats before dawn. The Germans called them the White Death. Soviet armies were moving, not toward Paulus, around him. This wasn't just winter. This was the setup for the most devastating counterattack the Eastern Front would ever see. Operation Uranus was coming, and when it struck, winter would no longer be the Germans' enemy. The Red Army would be. The Red Army wasn't collapsing. They knew one truth. They could never break Stalingrad head-on. But they could break the armies guarding its flanks. They were held by Romanian, Hungarian, and Italian divisions, cold, undersupplied, poorly armed, and already shaken by the endless winter. Thousands of Soviet guns fire at once, shaking the frozen earth like an earthquake. Romanian lines disintegrate in minutes. Out of the blizzard, T-34 tanks burst forward, ghosts of steel appearing and vanishing in the snow. The winter wolves. Germans realized the disaster. Reports flood in. Romanian positions collapsing. No coherent front left. Enemy armor penetrating everywhere. The Soviets aren't attacking the city. They're circling it. Two Soviet spearheads, one from the north, one from the south, spot each other through the storm. Flares rise into the sky. Soldiers shout in triumph. The ring is closed. In that moment, 300,000 German soldiers are sealed inside a pocket around Stalingrad. No fuel, no supplies,
no escape. In just 4 days, the Eastern Front is turned upside down. Hitler loses his strongest army. The Soviets take control of the war's momentum, and the fate of the Sixth Army is sealed. And Paulus has fallen.
Oberkommando der Wehrmacht gibt bekannt, der Kampf um Stalingrad ist zu Ende.
For the first time in history, German Field Marshal Paulus chooses surrender. Soviet troops enter the basement. The highest-ranking officer ever captured by the Red Army is taken without resistance. Outside, columns of German soldiers march into captivity, frostbitten, starving, carrying nothing. Hitler rages in the wolf's lair, calling Paulus a traitor, swearing he should have died with his army. But in Stalingrad, the truth is undeniable. His dreams ended here, in the silence of a city that refused to die. For the Soviets, the victory is more than military. It is a resurrection. From the Volga to the Don, from Kursk to the gates of Warsaw, the Red Army begins its relentless push westward. The road to Berlin has opened, and every step of that march is paid for with the memory of Stalingrad, the place where the tide of the Second World War turned forever. If this journey through Stalingrad gripped you, there's more to come. More battles, more forgotten stories, more voices of war. Stay with us and join the mission to bring history back to life.